There used to be a glitch in Minecraft that when a skeleton trap spawned, sometimes the rider could spawn with bugged OP armor. This armor could range anywhere from fire protection 4 to regular protection 8. Yeah, and it worked like protection 8. So you could say that this is the very best helmet in the entire game. But what is the best armor in Minecraft? Minecraft armor is an essential part of the game. You can wear it to take less damage, and you can even enchant it to make it better. However, some enchantments are exclusive. You can't have fire protection and protection on the same piece of armor. So this begs the question, is it worth it to alternate or just have a full set of protection armor? Well, that is what I'll be answering today. So stick around, please consider subscribing. We're so close to 690,000, that would be amazing and mean the world to me if we get there. So thank you so much, I hope you enjoy, and let's get right into it. To figure out what the best armor set in Minecraft is, we first have to understand how damage and armor work in the first place. Damage is pretty straightforward. You have 10 hearts, each of which can be separated into 2 half hearts, and each half heart is 1 health. So in total, you have 20 health or HP. Pretty simple so far. Once you take 20 damage, lose 20 half hearts, or lose 10 hearts, you die, and dying is bad. So how does armor actually work and prevent this? Well, it's surprisingly complicated, and I'll do my best to explain it. In Minecraft, your armor has 2 attributes, its armor value, or defense points, and its armor toughness. Also knockback resistance in the case of netherite, but that's not important. Defense points are pretty easy to understand. They're the physical armor bars that appear above your health bar, and they work in the same way. 1 defense point is half a little chestplate icon, 2 defense points is 1 little chestplate icon, and 20 defense points is 10 little chestplate icons. For instance, a netherite chestplate that has 8 defense points will occupy 4 little chestplates, and a leather helmet that has 1 defense point will occupy half a little chestplate. Still with me? Good, because toughness is a little bit more complicated. Armor toughness is only found in diamond and netherite armor, but since there's no way any of the other armor sets will be the best armor in the game, we have to consider it too. While normally armor just prevents a small portion of damage, armor toughness specifically makes you take less damage from more powerful attacks. Again, I'll cover specifically how in a second, but that's all you need to know. If an attack is very strong, armor toughness will resist a lot of damage. But if an attack is very weak, armor toughness will barely do a thing. Now that we have those 2 things established, let's actually take a look at a damage prevention. The formula for this is overcomplicated to say the least. It does not look very nice. That being said, everything in this formula is pretty straightforward except for the min and max functions. The min function, or minimum, just chooses the smaller of 2 numbers. If I had the expression min of 5 and 2x, depending on what x is, the function will return the smaller of the 2 numbers. If x is 1, the function will return 2, because 2x is 2 times 1, which is 2, and 2 is less than 5. If x is 3 though, because 2x or 6 is larger than 5, the min function will return 5 since it's the smaller number. The opposite is true for the max function, it just returns the larger value. I think the best way to understand all of this is with an example, because I'm saying all this nonsense, but how does it really translate into Minecraft? Let's say there's a player about to attack me with an iron sword and I'm wearing full diamond armor except I don't have any pants. How much damage is that hit going to do? Well, let's plug everything into the formula. Weapon damage is straightforward. Iron swords do 6 damage. Each diamond armor piece has 2 toughness, and I'm wearing 3, so overall I have 6 armor toughness. And finally, a diamond helmet has 3 armor or defense points, a diamond chestplate has 8 defense points, and diamond boots have 3 defense points, totaling up to 14 total defense points. The max function in the formula has to choose the larger between defense points over 5 or this ugly mess, which happens to be 2.8 or 12.286. Obviously the bigger number is 12.286. Now the min function has to choose the smaller between that or 20, which again is 12.286. So simplifying everything down, we get a total of 3.05 damage, or a reduction of about 50% from our original 6 damage. This means we should take around 3 half hearts or 1.5 hearts, which we do, proving the formula does indeed work. So now that we know how armor works, let's get into the enchanting. There are 4 main enchantments that are the heat of this debate: protection, projectile protection, fire protection, and blast protection. The way these enchantments work is with something called EPF, or Enchantment Protection Factor. This is used to tell the game how much damage your protection is resisting. Luckily this time the formula is much more simple and it's just EPF divided by 25 is the reduction. So for example, if you had an EPF of 20, 20 over 25 is 0.8, and thus 80% of incoming damage would be reduced. Pretty straightforward. But knowing Mojang, it has to get complicated eventually, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Just like there are 4 types of protection, the types of damage can also be split into 4 categories. Everything, fire, explosions, and projectiles, which, as you may have guessed, correlate with the 4 protection types. Protection, fire protection, blast protection, and projectile protection. Now bear with me, you have an EPF value for each type of protection. That might mean nothing to you, so let me give an example. For each level of fire protection you have on your armor, you gain 2 fire EPFs. So let's pretend I had a diamond helmet with fire protection 2. 2 times 2 is 4 fire EPFs. In Minecraft terms, using our formula from before, 4 divided by 25 is 0.16, so we would be resisting 0.16 or 16% of any incoming damage. The same is applicable for blast protection and explosion EPFs, and projectile protection and projectile EPFs. So just as another example, if I had leggings with blast protection 3 and boots with fire protection 1, 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 1 is 2. So I would have 6 blast EPFs and 2 fire EPFs. And using our formula, we can find that I'd be reducing 24% of incoming explosion damage and 8% of any incoming fire damage. So if I haven't lost you yet, you'd probably wonder, wow, protection covers everything, right? That would just mean it's so much better. What's the point of the other enchantments? Well, you'd be right, but then Mojang would have no point in adding the other enchantments, so there has to be a catch. The catch is that while regular protection EPFs do cover damage from anything, they only do so half as much. So level 1 protection will only give you 1 EPF or resist 4% of any incoming damage. And protection 2 is the same effectiveness as any fire, blast, or projectile protection 1. One more notable fact is that EPF caps at 20 per segment. You can only have 20 fire EPFs or 20 blast EPFs, meaning the most damage you can reduce from any given input is only 80%. Which means, by the way, since fire protection level 4 gives 4 times 2 or 8 fire EPFs per armor piece, an armor set with 4 pieces of full fire protection armor, or 32 fire EPFs, will have the same resistance to fire as that with 3 pieces of armor, or 24, since it's capped out at 20 and nothing higher matters. But now that we've established all that, and if you're still with me, congrats, I'm very proud of you, what is the best combination of protections that will give you the highest EPF in every category? A full set of protection for armor can give you 4 times 1 EPF times 4 armor pieces is 16 general EPFs in total, or a 64% damage reduction from any source of harm. That's not bad at all, but let's consider another example. What if I had a helmet with fire protection 4, a chestplate with fire protection 4, and then leggings and boots with regular protection 4? We'll call this the heat set. After calculating it out, I'd have 16 fire EPFs for my top half and 8 general EPFs for my bottom half. Because general EPFs apply to everything, I actually have 24 fire EPFs and 8 in everything else, which takes me over the cap and gives you the maximum possible 80% reduction in fire damage and 32% reduction in everything else. And you can start to see why finding the perfect balance of every possible combination of EPFs will be very tricky. In the end, it boils down to what damage we think is the most important to prevent. As I mentioned before, the heat set maximizes your resistance to fire while giving you decent resistance in everything else. But that answer is lame, and if we truly want to find the best armor in Minecraft, we have to look at which damage types we take the most. So that's what I did. And after looking through every single type of way to take damage in the game, this is what I found. Using the Minecraft Wikipedia article for damage, here is a spreadsheet of every type of damage you can take in the game. In total, there are 71 different ways to take damage in the game, 45 of which are in the everything category, 12 in the blast category, 8 in the projectile category, and 6 in the fire category. Now, is that to say you take twice as much blast damage as you do fire damage? No, I would argue it's close to the opposite. But assuming you took every type of damage equally, that would be your distribution. Also, it's super important to keep in mind that everything in the blast, fire, and projectile categories is also covered by regular protection. However, filling that into the chart would just lead to duplicate counting. But now, since we have every percent of every type of damage, we can optimize our armor to protect our needs. And that leads us to the final verdict. The mathematically speaking best set of armor in all of Minecraft is as follows. A full set of netherite armor enchanted with protection 4, protection 4, protection 4, and protection 4. That's right, after all of that blabbing, it turns out that just having full protection is the best thing you can do to your armor, meaning yes, all of the other enchantments are completely useless. Because general damage sources are such a large percent of the total, mathematically speaking, it's best to optimize that large majority because it even includes every other type of damage, giving you a 64% reduction no matter what comes your way. Swapping out one piece with Blast Protection 4 is the only combination that comes close, at an overall reduction of 53.4% in total, 80% for any explosion and 48% for everything else. Again though, I can't say this enough, this spread of damage isn't really representative of the amount of damage you're actually going to take in game. I mean, who's going to be taking more damage from berry bushes and anvils than they are from lava? But even accounting for that, at best, it just means swapping out one of the protection 4s for a fire protection 4. Not that big of a shift. There are, of course, though, some things that armor can't defend against, like the void, drowning, or the immense pain of not having 690,000 subscribers. If you made it this far into the end and haven't already, please consider subscribing, it means the world to me. But thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and as always, peace out and have a good one. See you next time.